We are, and I'd just like to say that, Adrian, you have a theory about what's going on. We have read nothing. We, this game is way more fun going in with no spoilers, so we have not looked up anything, but you started to deduce, or at least deduce what you think is happening. So, in a summary, maybe 3 sentences or 4, what do you think's happening?
I think Shamspear is actually the cause of the curse. I believe he may be Selden. Is that the name of the...
I think Selden?
Selden. The convict that died, we think that Shamspear may have been his previous cellmate, and he wants Natsumi's room because there might be treasure in it, and I believe he may be cutting off gas to his lamp in his room to try to suffocate Natsumi, which is why he keeps waking up in the middle of the night feeling as though he is choking.
And when she told me this, over like breakfast, I think,
Yeah.
I was like, this all makes a lot of sense, and maybe some of the stuff's wrong, but that's, I mean...
And I believe that that's how he killed Duncan Ross previously. And then I'd just like to add that I love cats, and I also inserted that Nagoa High may be who's waking Natsumi up.
Yeah, and saving his life.
Yeah, but that's the totally embellished part of what I think.
You say that, that'll be like the most accurate part, I bet. That's why we take him, because we have him now, like officially. Not in this, flashback of a case, but I mean, it all made a lot of sense to me, and I kind of get it because I'm kind of... When it comes to Ace Attorney games, I do feel like whenever they talk about some story like this, or some backstory like that, usually they reveal that all is not what it seems.
Yeah.
So I do wonder if we're gonna find something like that out. But
I think Shamspear's a really bad guy.
yeah, I mean, I think we're both thinking that, and I think if you're correct, if you're even half right, then this non-murder case is a murder case, just not of Shamspear, obviously.
Right.
But we will see. I have been really enjoying this case. Really good second case so far, and a dig. So, let's see. Okay.
So she was about to commit suicide.
Right.
And she acknowledged that she was going to marry Duncan Ross.
Right. I think we showed her that. Did we show her... But yeah, we already showed her this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so we already got the information from that. Okay.
I don't think we have anything left to show her.
Yeah, so let's
Hey,
see.
stop. Can we go to Natsumi's room?
No, can't go to Natsumi's
Kitty, stop
room.
it.
Let's see. Briar... I remember we went back to prison and showed that picture of Natsumi, and he's like, oh, you know about that, and that's when he told us about the curse. Let's see. Let's go to Briar Road. Okay, nothing here.
Can't you pan there?
Yeah, but I mean, like, there was nothing before, and nothing's changed. We're not getting the timestamp. Shamspear's room, I feel like we did everything there. Let me just... Yeah. Stop it, kitty! Let's see... And we saw Sholmes earlier. In fact, yeah, because he had come to say hi to us at... Okay... Gerdeb... We saw... Yeah, and we asked him 4 things, so I feel like we're good here.
What are we going to show him?
I don't know. Maybe nothing?
We don't know what that envelope piece goes to.
No, we don't. We already examined it.
What does it describe it as?
The rest of the envelope cannot be located.
Interesting.
So, and we already talked to him about 4 things. But see, we only have 2 things with her, though.
So we need to maybe...
I feel like there's something more that we should be able to...
Show her the envelope piece.
Yeah, let's see. Yeah. Let's see, nearby street map, pair of teacups, bar of soap, crime scene. Oh, why don't we show this and she wished he died? Is there perhaps something you might be able to tell me if I show you this photograph on screen? Oh, is that a corpse? No, he's not dead. Of course, the night he had the poison, I was still more or less dead here in my hospital bed. Ah, she was still in a coma then, that's true. And then just as I get on my feet again, that man keels over. There's a strange balance to life sometimes. No, really, Mr. Shakespeare isn't dead. Okay. Let's see. I doubt she'd have anything to add about the medical report, but just because it mentions Shakespeare.
What's that at the very beginning? Next to the armband.
Second-hand book receipt that has his books. That was part of the case. Let me see. Maybe she needs soap? Miss Green, about this soap. I think I know what that is. It's that soap-shaped chocolate, isn't it? No, this is just normal soap. Well, normal, poor-quality soap. Oh, that was lucky. At least it wasn't a trick this time.
What?
A trick? I fell for it only the other day. It's soap-shaped chocolate, they said. Just one bite and I was foaming at the mouth. I passed out. It tasted so awful. Oh my. What is it about people recently that makes them all eat soap? So we showed her
Well, I mean, who enticed her to do that, though? Shakespeare? Can you show a profile of Shakespeare to her?
No, can't show a profile. I don't think this opened up anything, though. No. And I showed her the last 2 things just now, right? Like while we were sitting here. I know I showed her this, but I showed her the Capital Offender article, I think. No? Yes, I did. Where to go, where to go, where to go?
Well, what to go next? Can we see Shakespeare?
I don't think so.
He was running around the hospital, wasn't he?
He was, but he doesn't have like a separate room.
Did Natsumi not know what that green envelope was?
I don't think we showed it to him. But maybe it's something like, oh, I gave him an envelope, so I don't know. No, it's nothing much.
What about Mr. Garrideb? Because he had the love letter to Miss Olive Green. He might say, oh, that goes with the letter.
Well, see, I don't think anybody would recognize an envelope thing, because when you buy envelopes, you buy them in like packs of 50, so I don't think he'd be like...
But it's green.
So?
Her name is Olive Green.
Yeah.
He called her like his beautiful, colorful lady or something.
So Locke died. Let's see. we examined this in the past case. Let's see. Let me pan just to make sure, like, Sholmes isn't hanging on something for no reason again. Yeah, same as before. Okay.
Look on the soap again.
Red checked.
Okay, what about the light that's lit over here? The candle.
That's part of this whole display, looks like. Oh, cute kitty.
What about that lamp up there?
Let me see what happens again when we talk to him.
Can you show him the envelope thing?
No. Can't present. So he gave us that stuff so we can show it to people. Let me go back here.
What?
Let me see again what she said with the suicide. 10 seconds later, we would arrive at a very different scene here. In all probability, we would not have enjoyed this most delightful conversation. Of course, perhaps it hasn't been quite so delightful from your perspective, Miss Green. Actually, in a way, now that everything's out in the open, I feel like a weight has been lifted. Tell me, how did you acquire that medicine? But with this being a hospital now, when the doctor came to examine me in the mornings, he always leaves the medicine cabinet open for a while, so I snuck this out when he wasn't looking. It conspicuously lacks a label. I wonder what it contains. I'm afraid I don't really know, but I thought if I drank it, it just might stop the pain somehow. Oh, please, Miss Green, don't talk of such things. Well, it seems clear now that it contains poison. Yes, that poor little mouse is proof of that. Oh, no. Oh, it's all my fault. What have I done? I shall remove this to my office, Miss Green. I take it you have no objection. No, none.
Maybe we should go to his office and see if he tested it.
Well, no, see, we went there already.
Oh.
Did we examine this? It definitely feels as though this card may be relevant. Well, that looks like a green envelope. I mean, when we first arrived, Miss Green was standing with it in her hand in what can only be described as a very tense atmosphere. Yes, it may very well be related to whatever incident Mr. Sholmes believes was about to happen here. Perhaps we should ask Miss Green about it.
Ah, okay.
There we go. Yeah, we didn't investigate the room all the way. Neither the... Ah! It's ripped! Neither the sender's name or address appears to be written on the envelope or the card. It arrived by post at my home the day before the incident that put me in hospital here. Really? I have information regarding the death of Duncan Ross. Come to the Slug and Salad on Briar Road at 5 p.m. on 17th. Don't tell anybody else about this letter or the meeting. It is a matter of utmost importance. Wait a minute, the 17th of this month? That's the day you were stabbed on Briar Road. And 5 p.m. is precisely the time when the incident occurred. The Slug and Salad, yes, a pub on the northern corner of Briar Road. Briar Road being the street that Mr. Garrett's house is on. Does this mean that... Yes, I'm sure you've guessed, that day when I was struck in the back by the knife, I was actually on my way to the Slug and Salad. Goodness. So that's what you were doing on Briar Road that day. I'm sorry I didn't say anything before. There we go. I think I really will have to ask you to excuse me now. I've told you everything. Yes, I'm very sorry to have had to drug up such painful memories for you. No, it's fine.
Show her the envelope piece now?
No, I think we're done with Mrs. Green. Or Miss Green. Miss Green, please promise us you won't try to do anything like that again. Yes, don't worry. Your detective friend has the bottle now anyway. And besides, I've always been stabbed in the back and had a close shave with a bottle of poison, and I'm still here. I think I'm destined to see things through to the end. It might sound a little conceited, but well, that's how all this has made me feel. Leaving Miss Green and St. Bartholomew's behind, we made our way back to Baker Street with Mr. Sholmes. Well, it would appear we've reached the end of the investigative trail for today. Yes, it's late. And Mr. Naruhodo, did you discover anything that may be of use to you in court tomorrow, do you think? Details about Mr. Shamspeare, Mr. Garrideb's lodgings, the convict Selden. There are many facets to this case, and we've yet to see to the heart of it, if you ask me. That's my feeling, anyway. I can't help wondering about the results of the analysis. Into Mr. Natsumi's tea, you mean? Yes, will they have found strychnine? Strychnine in it or not? Well, I fear that either way, it will be hard to escape the grip of our friend Mr. Reaper. Oh dear. Yes, Barak von Zeeks. But I wish you every success, of course, and though I was late to rise this morning, tomorrow will be a new dawn. I intend to spring from my bed at a crisp hour and attend the trial. Mr. Sholmes, you're going to come. Indeed, whatever happens, I shall be there, assuming my eyelids cooperate in the morning. Well, I think we've done all we can. All that's left is to remain focused and keep fighting for Mr. Natsumi's case until the very end. London, the world's most prosperous city, home to some 6 million people. But away from the razzle-dazzle, down back alleys, and behind bricked-up windows, the lonely lurk. So Seki-san had battled long and hard with loneliness during his many months here, and so I felt honor-bound to battle equally hard for my compatriot, to lift the curse that gripped him. As Mr. Sholmes said, tomorrow would be a new dawn for all of us. That's funny, we stopped really soon before we were going to begin the next stage. All we needed to do was investigate one more thing. Here we go, trial ahead. Oh my god. This is it then, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, it's time to put an end to this now, to the miserable curse that has been plaguing Mr. Natsumi, to everything, and in my own small way I shall do everything I can to help you. I always appreciate your help, Mrs. Sato. Suffering so Seki selfishly sidelined. Ah, good morning to you too, Mr. Natsumi. Good morning? Good morning, locum student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. Listen to you two, chatting away happily as if the main player of today's trial isn't here. Why would you do that? Why? Oh dear, we didn't mean to cause offense, Mr. Natsumi. I thought perhaps that because you had your eyes shut so tightly you were meditating, finding inner calm. It seemed wrong to disturb you. I was waiting. What's the matter, Mr. Natsumi? You seem different somehow today. Why, naturally. That's because I've attained spiritual enlightenment. The path of literature, you see, is a journey to discover one's own death. Or such like. That's the sort of morning conversation I was hoping for. That's why I had my eyes shut. I missed the signs, I'm afraid, somehow. You'll have to forgive me. And you mustn't talk of your path leading you to death, Mr. Natsumi. That was just an example. Oh yes, there it is. Inner calm. You barely came to see me at all yesterday. I was sure you'd abandon me and return to our beautiful long-lost homeland. We've not even been in Great Britain a week yet. Yes, well anyway, I intend to set everything straight in court today. I'm determined to uncover the truth. I've actually reached an important decision myself. What sort of decision? I shall fill you in after the trial. Alright. It would seem Mr. Sholmes isn't coming today after all. It's a very clever message, I think. My dear fellows, you must win this battle on your own merits. It's a very clear message, I think, that he's overslept again. The great detective, my arch-nemesis. Long may he stay away, if you ask me. Defendant and your legal representative. The trial is about to begin. Make your way into the courtroom immediately. You know, I also think if we discover what the curse really is, and your idea that, there's something shady behind it, that probably would explain why in the first case he seems so more at ease. Because the first case of this game is later chronologically, but he's a lot more at ease with a reporter following him, and, it just seems different overall. Today, once again, we face the Reaper, and when the Reaper stands for the prosecution, the defendant's fate is sealed. But I don't believe in that legend any more than I believe in Suseki-san's curse. The truth is hidden here somewhere, and I won't let it escape me. I have to keep believing in my client, and keep fighting to the very end, that's all. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. I call upon the counsels for the prosecution and defense to declare their willingness to proceed. The prosecution is ready. Yes, the defense is ready. Very good. And now I call upon the 6 ladies and gentlemen of the jury, chosen by lot to represent the will of the people in this trial. Are you ready to proceed? What's up?
Nothing.
Absolutely, justice will be done, you mark my words. I feel obliged to say I feel especially ruthless on days when my hat is sitting just right. Oh, well, I wonder if you could adjust my hat for me. And please be as ruthless as you like. Thieves deserve to die, if you ask me, especially gas thieves. I have no sympathy for the man at all.
Oh my.
Look, I said it yesterday and I'll say it again now. I don't have time for this. I've got my own problems. Oh, may the Lord show us all the light here and lead his flock to a righteous verdict again today. Now, Lord Von Zieks, what can you tell us? Prosecution's report, please, for the court. In relation to the theory expounded by the defense yesterday regarding the defendant's tea. Watch, there's going to be poison in it. So he does have the results. Before the prosecution delivers the black news about the black tea belonging to the blackguard in the dock, pray allow me a moment to savor a liquid of a more sanguine hue. In fact, I'll defer to the good detective for the report. Here's to you, Inspector. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. As indicated by the defense, we found a bar of soap just outside the victim's window in the snow. And there was indeed a frozen, reddish liquid in a little depression on the top of it. Yes, that's the tea. That's what Mr. Natsumi brought with him that night. Well, the brains of the yard analyzed it, and yes, you're right, it was tea. And there wasn't a trace of strychnine. Strychnine. Why do I keep getting wrong? Strychnine or any other toxic substance in it. No poison at all. In other words, the tea the defendant brought with him to the victim's room is innocent. It's in the clear. What a revelation. As I suspected, this makes it quite clear the defendant, Mr. Soseki Natsumi, my learned friend is jumping... Hold on a sec. It's blameless here. My learned friend is jumping to conclusions again, a typical Nipponese reaction. What? Yes, it's true, no poison was found in the few drops of liquid recovered from the soap on the window ledge. Well, what logic is that? Would you take a drop from the Thames and conclude that the water in the ocean isn't salty? My word, the water in the ocean is extremely salty, Counsel. Exactly. Unfit for drinking, just as the victim's tea was on the night in question, as the court has already heard. Bitter was the precise word from the lips of Mr. William Shamspeare, whom the prosecution now calls back to the stand.
He's not a nice guy.
Very well, I will uphold the prosecution's request. Mr. Shamspeare. Yes, it sounds like we're going to have another confrontation with our theatrical friend. Bailiff, show Mr. Shamspeare to the stand. Mr. William Shamspeare, the victim of this despicable crime. Oh heaven, oh hell, do you command me to remember? Forsooth, 'twas I, Shamspeare, did have a belly full of the foul fluid given in my innocence. Yes, but as we revealed in yesterday's proceedings, the witness is not as innocent as we had perhaps been led to believe. By using bars of soap such as this, he has been stealing gas from the supply company, yes. One may smile and be a villain. Forsooth, 'twas I, Shamspeare, did have a roomful of the sweet fuel given. That's right. Fellow jurors, don't forget this man is a rotten thief. I haven't forgotten. Kept all that about the ice coins a tidy secret, didn't you? Should have owned up sooner. Arrest him, I say. Arrest him at once and let him feel the sting in my tail.
So you're right about the bee.
Yeah. Oh, indeed. I think it's a funny, character design. I don't know why necessarily. Maybe they're just having some fun with it. Oh, indeed, by dint of vile and cowardly means have I plotted to further mine own ends, I confess. Thou wouldst not pardon my sins, of that I am sure. If you acknowledge your wrongdoing, what exactly are you doing here? Cowards die many times before their deaths, and for a coward such as I, death be well deserved. But would it that a still greater crime passeth unpunished? For lo, the hairy-faced gentleman of farther east than Verona did contrive to poison me. But there was no poison in the tea found in your room. The police have attested to that. What the defense would assert as an inconsistency will quickly be cleared up by the witness's testimony. Is that not so, Mr. Shamspeare? Verily, my liege, I would most gladly speak. Very well, let the witness testify to explain this inconsistency. Tell the court why it is that poison apparently entered your body, though none was found in the tea. Here we go. The Japanese man did come to my chamber with tea brewed in a pot. 'Twas in my cup alone that the wicked miscreant secretly poured his wicked poison. Whilst feigning distraction in our debate, ne'er did a drop of his own drink pass his lips. When he departed by and by, I did use the tea that remained in his cup to make my coins of ice. Thus, 'tis no surprise that poison be not found in the tea I did pour into the molds of soap. The poison was slipped into the cup after the tea had been poured. The normal way for poison to be administered, in my experience. Quite, otherwise it would be disastrous if the poisoner were to mix up the cups, for instance. But no poison bottle was found at the scene, because quite simply the Nipponese took the bottle back to his own room.
Then find it.
The absence of a vessel containing the poison only becomes problematic when considering suicide. I knew that. By now it would be perfectly clear. A bar or two of cheap soap is wholly insufficient to wash the deep stains of guilt from the accused's hands. Sirs, madams, 'tis true that I, Shamspeare, be a common thief of gas. But, listen here, ladies and gentlemen. Wherefore would I lie? Verily, I have no cause. I have naught to lose. Well, I do declare. Thank you for your testimony, witness. Counsel, proceed with the cross-examination. Yes, my lord. This would still seem very,
We'll find it.
What?
We'll find his inconsistencies.
Oh yeah, what I'm saying is, it seems very incomplete a case that Von Zieks is making. You know? Like, if we didn't even try to, I guess the clincher is him going, I have no reason to lie. And, you know, then the jury might be like, oh, well, then he has no reason. Okay. So in my cup alone is the wicked miscreant. Let's do the second one.
Hold it!
Are you saying that you saw the moment when the poison was added to your tea? To have witnessed the act and then drank the tea, thou dost describe the actions of a fool. Quite so, quite so. But no one likes going thirsty, do they? Every time he does that, he stops talking Shakespeare-ish. Sooner would I die quenched than parched, would I have the choice. Actually, on the night in question, the water main was frozen, I believe, wasn't it? Were it not for the tea, in sooth, I would sooner have died frozen than quenched or parched. Right, no ice coins means no heating. The witness had more than one brush with death on the night in question, it would seem. Remind the court, Mr. Shamspeare, as to whether the accused drank any of the tea which he brought with him. With the greatest of pleasure, my liege. Whilst feigning distraction in our debate, never did a drop of his own drink pass his lips. But we kind of know that's false because he had no rim of tea in his cup.
Hold it! But he's Japanese, he drinks it when it's hot.
Yeah, so the tea, and he's even saying that the teacup Mr. Natsumi drank from was found completely empty at the scene. Let's not forget the defendant's maxim, drink tea while it's hot. I did gulp from the poisoned cup that night, and in mine agony did I writhe uncontrolled. In fits of pain I did knock the fellow's cup and its contents, spilt us blood from a gaping wound, methinks. Though certainly 'twas after I had made the coin's advice from his tea. An upset cup was found on the table that the victim was slumped over. There is no contradiction here. It's true there was no tea left in either cup that we found at the scene. But still, something about this statement is troubling me.
The ring.
Yeah, yes, of course, I know what it is. It's Mr. Natsumi's wise drink tea while it's hot maxim, isn't it? No, I'm not sure that's it. Thank you, witness. Now reiterate for the court what it is that occupied you after your guest had left and before you drank your tea. I did use the tea that remained in this cup to make my points suffice. There's no surprise the poison would be not found in the tea I did pour into the molds of soap. I don't know, it seems like it should be this one. No tea ring. Yeah, there should be. If he knocked it over, there should be a tea ring in there.
Yeah, because it would have set for a while with stain.
Yeah. You claim that Mr. Natsumi didn't drink a drop of tea on the night in question. But that's impossible. How, chop logic. What is this, ye dark, ye clad fiend? The two teacups from the scene, one used by the victim and the other by the defendant, have a clear difference between them, one that represents incontrovertible proof. Incontrovertible? What difference? Look at the inside of the cups. Just here, there's a clearly visible ring. Yes, a tea ring. Commonplace enough. Indeed, such stains occur all too readily when one leaves tea in a cup for a while. And yet Mr. Natsumi's cup has no such ring. Good lord, you're right. It's completely clean. And prithee, sir, what makest thou of it? Exactly what Mr. Natsumi told the court yesterday, the Japanese saying he quoted, drink, tea, while it's... I was gonna say while. Darn it. That's right. Yes. The jittery Mr. Natsumi was true to his usual self that night and drank his tea in no time. Oh!
Well, that's different.
Yeah, if, as you claim in your testimony, he didn't touch a drop of his tea, a ring would have developed on the inside of his cup as well after the several hours the tea was left standing. But, in short, Mr. Shamspeare, you clearly lied to the court. Get thee to a nunnery!
What?
I don't know what that means. As a rule, I fill my hollow chalice up to 7 times during any one trial.
That's a lush.
You might want to keep that information to yourself. Yet on occasion, tedium distracts me, and I pour more times than I intended until the bottle is dry. Your drinking habits are fascinating but irrelevant. On the contrary, they illustrate the fickleness of human memory. To William Shamspeare. Yes, my liege. Though you previously stated that you made the coin suffice from the leftover tea in the accused cup, could it be that you were perhaps mistaken? Could it be that, yes, perhaps there was some tea remaining in the small teapot left at the scene? a fact that had vanished from your memory until now. Faith, my liege, thou art a magician. For verily, 'tis as though thou hast seen with thine own eyes that night. What? Forsooth, I was mistook. I did plan to use tea from the Japanese fellow's cup, but lo, when I looked, 'twas empty, and thus did I use the dregs that festered in the teapot as my liege did suggest. And you've just suddenly remembered now that you made a mistake before. Are we supposed to believe that? People's memories are imperfect, my learned friend, which is why we rely on evidence instead. But in any case, it makes no difference. The victim's most recent testimony tells us two things of note. Firstly, that the poison was put into the victim's teacup only, and secondly, that this spoiled cup was not the source of the insipid ice coins that have bewitched this court. The prosecution makes a fine summary of the facts. Furthermore, that testimony remains valid and in full support of the established facts. In other words, the inconsistently claimed by the defense simply does not exist. No. What does this mean, then? I do declare it means there's no issue with the gas thief's testimony. Apart from the bit about thieving gas, obviously. My lords, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I do solemnly swear, after I did dine at Grubb's Grubbery alehouse that night, naught did pass my lips but the black tea given me by the Japanese, whose back bestooped as low as death. And on what did you dine, sir? Why, I did partake of my favorites, a broth as wouldst be called soup, and a leaf as wouldst be called salad. As insalubrious a menu as the establishment where it was served. But you gods will give us some faults to make us men. Willingly would I suffer what punishment 'tis seen fit to serve a wicked thief of gas. But I pray you, wise and noble fellows, never forget the simple truth. That be one thing, and this be another. Jurors all, your humble servant Shamspear doth entreat you, punish the Japanese fellow for his sins. My lord... If I may speak, my lord. Yes, Mr. Foreman. I believe we may have been duped by that rotten defense lawyer. By me? I do declare you may be right. We all know the way there was making coins of ice to keep himself warm. But this lawyer lad says if he's stealing gas, he deserves a dose of poison, eh? He's been leading us up the garden path, that's what he's been doing. I really never said anything like that. But what we just heard from the victim there has opened our eyes again. We've reached a decision this time, and we won't be swayed from it. The court acknowledges the position of the jury foreman, and will duly hear the jury's findings. What? No, you can't yet. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you will state your decisions now.
Guilty. 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 Guilty.
Why did the gas lady say guilty?
Yeah, gas lady should have been like,
She's on our
no.
side.
Maybe she hates both of them.
She doesn't really have a dog in the fight for Natsumi.
And honestly, she's the one who said that guy should die, so maybe she should say not guilty and just be like, okay, you need to be free to do this again. Like, oh, happy day. How is this happening? My lord, the defense asserts its right to carry out a summation examination. Of course. Very well, the court upholds the defense's right. Typical, my learned friend is unable to accept the obvious truth. This trial will therefore enter its second summation examination immediately. Jurors, the court calls upon each of you to state the grounds upon which you find the defendant guilty of the crime with which he is charged. Which, see, I don't mind when they say guilty, because I kind of dig pinning them against each other and digging in more. Like, I actually like the...
But I just feel they're silly sometimes.
They are, like...
This one's like, I'm irate when my bonnet doesn't fit right. Like, what? What is that?
Yeah, but I don't know. I do enjoy it. I like talking to the jurors, so if they have to find some stupid way to do it... I'm a man of logic, me, and having considered all the evidence, the defendant must logically be guilty. I do agree that gas is far too expensive. I can quite understand why the man would want to avoid paying.
I can tell you who to pick already. Her and the gas lady.
The stuff explodes and it can poison you. It's absolutely lethal, gas is. Gas doesn't come for free. It costs a fortune to deliver it around the city and maintain the pipes. Truth be told, the tea my wife serves up for me is a little sketchy at times. What? If nothing else past the victim's lips that night, there's no other explanation, is there? I do feel that perhaps personal opinion about gas and its supply has influenced decisions somewhat. But never mind. No, you really shouldn't mind. The truth is our counter-argument wasn't as unassailable as we'd hoped. And Mr. Shamspear was poisoned, there can be no doubt of that. Then how are we supposed to turn this around? I think we need to establish the method by which Mr. Shamspear was actually poisoned. Our only hope is to demonstrate that to the court incontrovertibly. But that's surely impossible at this stage. If we don't manage it, though, Mr. Natsumi will be found guilty. Also, Susato is very, very mature for her age.
Yes.
Like, when I initially saw her and was like, oh, she must be, like, the Maya of this game, she's her own person for sure. Mm-hmm. Maya really is, like, a kid.
Yeah.
Susato, highly intelligent. I mean, not that Maya was dumb, but Susato is definitely, like, very well read. Look how he just stands in the back there, like the gesture of the court.
Little turd, what he is.
Okay.
I think pit those two ladies.
Yeah, gas doesn't come for free. Yeah, so this already seems like we don't even need to. So let's try it. Yeah. Although the music hasn't stopped. Yeah. I think we might need to press a little bit. Being their leader, it's my duty to stand up for all jurors here. I concur with the foreman. Counsel, I warn you. I shan't abide any pettifoggery. Till you've got your facts straight, keep your pointy fingers to yourself. I thought I did. Trying to find consistencies. The key to is comparing the different things they say.
Alright, well, press the price of gas.
Yeah, I thought just by itself that was pretty good. But this isn't the time or the place to be discussing the price of gas, madame. But really, think of the injustice. Air is a gas and air is free. Why should Altamont gas cost money? It makes my blood boil. I can feel myself becoming more ruthless than ever. This isn't the time or the place to be ruthless either. If I might interject here. Ah, yes, madame? It seems my fellow juror takes issue with the price our company charges for gas. But it's precisely because of thieves like this meant the cost goes up. Oh, what a beastly man. That unkempt mustache, those hunched shoulders, poisoning tea and stealing gas, utterly unforgivable.
He's not stealing gas.
Yeah, no, Mr. Natsumi isn't the one who's been stealing gas. I'll thank you not to go adding on more crimes. Mr. Natsumi hasn't been poisoning tea either. Well, anyway, I've quite made up my mind. It's as made up as the price of gas.
Okay, so then go press the other chick.
Hold it!
Can we please refrain from all this talk of gas? There's an all-out attack underway here, in case you hadn't noticed, against my company's gas. And I'm supposed to sit here and take it, am I? I don't think so. She's really buzzing now. Oh! All I've heard about are wonderful fuels, explosions, and poisonings. What about electricity? What about getting electrocuted? What about that? A little explosion here and there is nothing in comparison. Any explosion could hardly be described as nothing, madame. Nevertheless, the theft of your gas is deplorable. My point exactly, but the gas thieves aren't even the worst of our enemies. We have far more devious reprobates to contend with on a daily basis, you know. More devious? Who, madame? Other gas companies, of course. Other gas companies? Not quite what I was expecting. We generate gas and we deliver to our customers fair and square. Indeed, nobody is questioning that, madame. Altamont is an exemplary gas company. But there are other unscrupulous gas companies here in London that don't even have any gas at all. What? If they don't have any gas, how do they go about selling it to people? You wouldn't think it possible, would you? But they steal our gas, you see, and sell that. They steal your gas? How on earth is such a thing possible?
Gas companies like ours deliver gas to people's homes via a network of pipes. But these devious reprobates secretly disconnect our pipes and divert our gas into their own rotten pipes. Then they make a contract with the households supplied by those pipes, and take money for the precious gas that's rightfully ours without us even knowing. They're diverting gas into their own pipes illegally. What a brazen form of theft.
So this is the lead up to what I was telling you that I think Shamspeare's doing. He's diverting the gas from his room, Natsumi's.
Yeah, so when we visit customers' houses to collect the money from their meters, we always have to check whether or not one of these devious companies has been up to its tricks.
Excuse me.
Do you have something to say about that, jury number 3? Oh golly, you mean me? I'm terribly sorry, I was just thinking to myself. I really did catch him off guard there. Thinking about what the lady next to you was saying, correct? Well, yes. I just got a little riled up about it recently, you see. Go on. An Altamont gas worker visited my house the other day to investigate the pipework. We need to ask for your cooperation while we carry out a secret check of your property, sir, the fellow said. So I let him in, and do you know what he did? I'm, afraid I have no idea. Please tell us. He proceeded to take one of my lights off the wall. Then he grabbed the exposed mouth of the pipe and started blowing into it. What do you think you're doing, young man? You're giving away company secrets there. Oh, please, everybody knows, but it was very nearly to the death of me, I can tell you. What do you mean? I'll explain if you don't mind. As I said before, those unscrupulous other gas companies connect their customers to our pipe network. Yes, but how does blowing into the pipes come into it? Obviously there's gas in the pipes, and it's at a fairly low pressure. By blowing air through the pipe, you can make the pressure drop temporarily. And if you do that, any lights connected to the same pipe will flicker for a moment. Ah, I see. In other words, if upon blowing into the pipe the lights of an adjacent property that has no contact with your company flicker, you can know that these devious scoundrels have been meddling with the pipes. Exactly, my lord. That's it in a nutshell. It's the reason why we have teams of workers going around neighborhoods to investigate which lights flicker. The trouble is, the particular worker who came to my house didn't know the strength of his own breath. He blew down the pipe with all his might, and you can guess what happened, can't you? Well, if he blew hard, then wait, you mean... That's right, the lights didn't just flicker, they went out along with the stove. Gas started pouring into the house. What a disaster. The gas supply must have been interrupted briefly because the man blew too hard, so the flames went out. I'm afraid I yelled at the fellow. Are you trying to kill us all? I said. So by disconnecting a lamp and blowing into the exposed gas pipe, it's possible to extinguish lamps and stoves connected to the same network of pipes. And then when the gas starts flowing again, it just silently seeps into the room. Mr. Naruhodo, I think perhaps, yes, this is almost certainly the clue that we've been hoping for. Jury number 3, the defense requests that you amend your statement to include that information. Oh, well, if you like, I don't mind. Well, I do. That's our company's... Like I said, madame, it's widely known already. Very well, jury number 3, you will amend your statement accordingly. Yes, my lord, although I'm not really sure what the point of all this is. Blow too hard into a gas pipe and you extinguish everything in the house, and then you're in real trouble. Okay. So... let's do him.
Hold it! Hold it!
All the evidence, you say? That's right, and there's no room for doubt. It's all pointing at that Japanese man with a big mustache. It's just the Englishman with the bigger mustache. Yeah, which means we need to show the man some new evidence to make him change his mind. If only we had that kind of evidence.
We do.
Don't worry, this summation examination has barely started, really. Perhaps there'll be a shift in the situation that shows an existing piece of evidence in a new light. Let's hope so. To start with, though, I need to find some way out of this deadlock. Okay, let's get him on this. When you say extinguish everything in the house, do you mean even on different floors? Oh yes, all floors are connected to the same pipe after all. That's true of every building, because gas supply contracts are issued for whole properties. Well, I had no idea that it was possible to extinguish gas appliances simply by blowing down the pipe. It's not something we like to publicize, to be honest, but if we have to carry out these investigations, as I'm sure you can appreciate. Indeed, it has been mentioned on more than one occasion in the papers, even. Is that so? It's been mentioned to me, too, very recently. An incident involving the gas stove going out inexplicably, almost leading to someone's death. Mr. Naruhodo, I think perhaps, yes, starting to fall into place, a secret link that joins all of these strange occurrences.
Hold it!
You mean it's poisoned? That's right. It's happened a tidy few times now. This is most troubling indeed. It's always days like this one when I don't get any wages. I get in at tea time, see? And I see her doing it, my wife. She gets that devilish look on her face, and she slips some white powder into my cup.
Sugar?
And you drink it anyway? I was brought up proper, I was. If someone gives you a cuppa, you drink it. And what happened to you? What did it taste like? It was god-awful, believe you me. Salty as hell.
Oh,
She's
she
putting
put
salt.
in it.
Yep, I think they all realize it. Then I think perhaps what your wife put in your tea was salt. No! So she doesn't even care enough to poison me properly, hey? Unbelievable! Let's move on, please. So, I don't think he can give us anything.
Hold it!
See him? Does that mean that if the victim could be shown to have ingested something else, you change your leaning? Sorry, what's that now? Oh, I was just saying that the victim did actually eat or drink something else on that night. What's the matter with you? Sorry? I said if nothing else passed the victim's lips that night, there's no other explanation, is there? Haven't you been listening to me at all? I feel there's an English expression about a pot and a kettle that's appropriate here. Compared to the other jurors who don't even appear to have anything to say about the case at all, it would seem that this elderly gentleman has been listening to the proceedings far more intently. I suppose the trouble is, he has selective hearing? Exactly, but still, this juror may well be the key to the breakthrough that we so desperately need. This is hopeless. There's no way for me to appeal to these people. I do think that the only way we shall overcome this difficult situation is by exposing the way in which Mr. Shakespeare was really poisoned. We have to prove that it happened some other way and not via Mr. Natsumi's tea. Yes, I know. The trouble is, I have absolutely no idea how it did happen. Mr. Naruhodo, I wonder if perhaps there's something you might have forgotten, bless you. Oh, like what? It's important, bless you, to watch everyone involved and pursue people if they react to something someone else says. If you'd like me to remind you exactly what I mean, I'd be more than happy to, of course. Once again, Soseki-san's fate is entirely in my hands here. I probably owe it to my client to hear any advice my assistant reduced, perhaps. No, I already know. We just did that. Actually, I don't think there's any need. It's vital that we start trying to change these jurors' minds as soon as possible. Of course, I'm sure you're right. But if you decide you would like your memory refreshed, you need only ask, Mr. Naruhodo.
Did we press the first guy a whole lot?
We pressed him once, but like we pressed everyone. Which is crazy.
Did we show him that?
This?
Yeah. Because he said that he's a man of logic. Well, I don't know how Shakespeare's been poisoned.
No, and I don't think this would
Well,
tell
that
us
shows
anything.
him how he's trying to hurt Natsumi.
I don't think we're there yet to start making those connections with this
hell?
dude. Thing is, we've pressed everybody. She seems like she's a lost cause on this one. We pressed him, we pressed her, we pressed the last two.
Well,
Hold it!
Let me press her again. Since she's not going to react to it this time.
didn't Susato say the old guy in the inn was kind of the key to this?
Well, yeah, but they also said that the first guy, we're going to need to present some evidence that might come to a different light later. In response, they steal our gas. No broken pipes. Never mind, but then they make a contract with the household supplied. Without us even knowing. But they're hurting gas. What a brazen form. When we visit Commodore's houses, we always have to check whether or not one of those devious companies have been up to its tricks. I had no idea. It's almost unbelievable. It might seem unbelievable to you, but it's happening all the time right here in the capital. It's very difficult selling something you can't see, you know. Very difficult indeed. Thank you, that will do. Clearly this is a very involved subject, but I feel we have digressed rather too much already. I concur, though if my learned friend wishes to become an expert in gas, I believe the subject will suit him well. To your new career in nothingness, thank you so much. You will turn your attention to the next juror's assertion, please, Counsel.
So you have to show that he ate something else that day. But we know he went to the restaurant. Is that his only statement?
Yeah. Let me see what he says again. All the evidence. That's right, and there's no room for doubt. It's all pointing to that Japanese man with a big mustache, just the Englishman with the bigger mustache. Which means we need to show the man some new evidence to make him change his mind. If only we had that kind of evidence.
Oh, he had a fork in his hand! So he clearly ate something else, unless they're trying to say that's how he popped the coin out. But was the coin still in the bar of soap?
We don't know, but I know the case has said earlier that that's what the fork was used for. So it hasn't been something we've been able to use for that. And then he talks about the different floors.
Can we look at the picture and see if we see anything else about him eating something else?
Hold on a sec. Are there any two contradictory statements here? Let's press her. She was the first person we pressed. Let's press her again to see if somebody else reacts while she's speaking. Yeah, she's a lost cause for this one. Are the two people we can pick together? I just wanted to see if that would work. And let me try with her.
Objection!
Nope. Since they both talked about gas, I wanted to see if maybe that had something to do with it. Darn.
What about the two gas ladies now, after we've been pressed? Because remember last time we had to press all of them?
I mean, I can try, but let's try.
Objection!
No.
Hold it! Hold it!
Press him again.
What does he say?
I think it was passive victim slips that night. There's no other explanation.
Well, you pressed him, he got mad, right?
Yeah.
Maybe show him the picture before? I don't know.
See, I don't think we even can do that. Because look, go to court record, you don't get to present anything.
So we still have to pit?
Yeah. Oh my goodness, she's 38? And I guess she doesn't look super old, but...
I wonder if it's something with the first guy.
Thing is, we don't have any evidence
I'm a man
to...
of logic. And having considered all the evidence, the defendant must be logically guilty, but he hasn't considered all of the evidence.
Right, but we can't present anything. I don't know.
Press him on them.
We did,
What
twice.
Did he say?
When he says, "Oh, the funny-looking mustache," and
Oh,
where
yeah.
he says,
Well, I wonder if you could put him in the first guy. Because he's talking, well, that doesn't tell us how he got poisoned, though. I don't know how he got poisoned. I just assumed he ate it himself from the water. Knowing that he'd wake up, like Romeo and Juliet.
pressed everybody. We've pitted these gas people with each other. This guy might be a lost cause too, because he doesn't really say anything. But, Let's see again what you say. Exposing how he was poisoned. But, like, the only time we can pursue, we already did.
Well, something else did pass his lips when that night. He was blowing into the gas pipe.
Quite possible. So maybe we pit them?
Objection!
There you go. These two statements clearly contradict each other. Good gracious. To whose statements do you refer, counsel? Juror number 6, did you hear what juror number 3 just said? What? Yes, of course. I heard him mumbling about something or other. There is another explanation here, I believe. Something besides Mr. Natsumi's tea did, in a manner of speaking, pass the victim's lips on the night in question. What explanation? I wonder, did the police check the mouth of the gas pipe feeding the wall light at the scene to see if there were any traces of poison there? I was curious to see what your floundering would result in this time, but the mouth of a gas pipe, Scotland Yard have enough to do without exploring such irrelevance. What a piece of work is a man. What are you trying to say, Mr. Shamspeare? What speaketh thou? Prithee, is it not strange and strange? That is what I say to thee, sir. I thought I've been quite clear, but let me put it another way. The strychnine could have been on the mouth of the gas pipe that feeds the wall lamp in your room. And that is how the poison came to enter your body. Good Lord. And we have the picture with the handprints. Are they hasty then, gas pipes? Is that what he's saying? Or is the gentleman suggesting that the poor man was so desperately hungry he tried to fill his belly with gas? Perhaps no actress would perform a kiss scene with him, For shame, madame, speaking thy fancy. I assure you I'm not such a buffoon that I have to kiss pipes. This is no summation examination, this is a farce. The prosecution will not stand for any more of my learned Nipponese friend's conjecture. To begin with, the lamp in the victim's room is high on the wall. In order to place his lips to the pipe that feeds it, he would have to be a contortionist. These are empty assertions. There's no possible proof that the man did as you say.
I got it.
It's true, I have no proof that Mr. Shamspeare put his lips to the pipe. However, I can say with some certainty that on multiple occasions, Mr. Shamspeare has been doing something in front of that lamp on his wall. And I have evidence to prove it. Alright, you've got our attention, lad. I'd like to see how you can be so sure of yourself. So would I. Let's see this evidence, then. Now that I've got the juries here, I need to make this opportunity count. This is the proof that time and again... Boom. Now we can use this. What the? These are, wait, what are they called? Yes, skin prints that were found at the scene. Skin prints, counsel? I've never heard of such things. The Justice Ministry is currently assessing whether or not to permit fingerprints as evidence in court, however. My lord, this is an exciting new forensic technique developed by the great detective Mr. Herlock Sholmes. It reveals all the places that Mr. Shamspeare touched in his room. I've never seen anything like it. I mean, that's black magic, isn't it? Well, if anyone could invent something like this, it's that great Sholmes fellow, that's for sure. I agree, this month's edition of Engineering Thumbs was quite fascinating. We had skin prints in many places that you would expect, on the table, on the costumes. However, Mr. Shamspeare also appears to have been touching some very unexpected places in his room. For example, here, around the hanging picture there, indeed, multiple handprints appear to be visible. Well, I wonder, could he have been appreciating the artwork? Not the same thing. However, imagine standing with your hands where those prints are and you would find yourself directly in front of... I don't believe it. The gas lamp. Though the reason why isn't immediately obvious, it's clear that Mr. Shamspeare has regularly been standing with his hands to the wall in front of that lamp. Right, what have you been up to, you nut? I'd ask the court to recall juror number 4's earlier statement. Me, what did I say? You said that blowing into a gas pipe would make the lights in the entire building flicker. And now if you recall juror number 3's statement... What, me now? When the gas worker who visited his home blew with too much force into the pipe, it caused all the lights and the gas stove to go out, and gas started leaking into the rooms. Obviously that incident was an accident. However, the simple fact is... if Mr. Shamspeare were to have blown hard into the gas pipe here in his room, he could have extinguished every other light and gas stove in the building at will. Crikey! Are you suggesting that the man purposely caused the gas to...
Yeah, I am.
Hey, dude, you're not supposed to talk in the summation examination. Whilst I acknowledge that the prosecution is required to remain silent during a summation examination, I must toast my learned friend's utter disregard for the letter of the law. What is the meaning of this, Lord Von Zieks? This curious photograph, or whatever it is, presented by the defense of so-called skin prints, clearly that cannot be accepted as any form of usable evidence in this case. But it's an exciting new forensic technique developed by a great detective. It's nothing. A mere toy developed by an amateur sleuth with too much time on his hands. Certainly even research of this nature by the esteemed Mr. Sholmes cannot be recognized by the court as formal evidence. But... Please, my lord, if I may. Mr. Sato, it was not the defense's intention to submit the skin prints as formal evidence. We merely wish to present the results of the great detective's investigation of the scene as a tool by which to explain a possibility to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury. And if the trial were to come to an end now, we should never learn the truth behind those mysterious handprints that everyone has now seen. I don't believe we can allow that to happen, and I'm sure the jurors would agree. You're right. Whether those strange handprints are a significant clue or not, it's down to us to decide. Jury number 3. Oh yes, I do declare the great detective's investigation results sound absolutely fascinating, and I want to hear what that shady actor fellow has to say about those shady handprints. I thought she was a lost cause, but apparently she likes this stuff. What's the matter with you two? That was foolhardy. Well, I did say it, didn't I? And I don't like to break a promise. No, wait! You heard his lordship. Oh, well done, Mr. Naruhodo. It's not fair, dinkum evidence. What? If just one more juror changes his or her mind, Mr. Natsumi's trial will have to continue. Thank you, Mrs. Sato. And I couldn't have done it without you. Oh, no, so you identified the clue after all. That is very much your success.
Uh-oh.
Oh, yes. Why, Mr. Shakespeare, you seem to be losing your composure. Just one more juror, Mr. Naruhodo. You can do it. Very well. Continue, counsel.
So we have to break either her...
Or him.
Yeah. Or the other guy.
Which other guy?
The one that's wife was poisoning the salt.
Oh, I don't know if it's... I feel like it's him because they're clearly saying we need to submit a piece of evidence that will be looked at differently.
Let's press him again. All the evidence, you say? That's right, and there's no room for doubt. It's all pointing at the Japanese man with the big mustache. Well, the defense just demonstrated another possible explanation for the events of the night in question. That's what I was getting at. What do you make of that? What, your so-called skin prints? It's an exciting new forensic investigation technique developed by the great detective himself. The numerous handprints on the wall are clearly out of the ordinary. And if Mr. Shakespeare had indeed put his mouth to the gas pipe on the night in question, it can't be denied that there's a possibility that's where the poison was. Well, yes, I won't deny that it's playing on my mind. But as the prosecution rightly says, we should pay no heed to unacceptable forms of evidence. And besides, yes? Even if the fellow has been up to some mischief with the gas pipe dozens of times before, doesn't mean he got up to the same shenanigans on the night in question, does he? Does it? If you can't make your case better than that, I'm afraid I can't change my stance. Oh, you do make a very valid point, sir. What? Oh, that's true. Perhaps I was a little hasty. No, wait. Look, you've got your chance here, haven't you? So it's time to prove your theory. If you and your Japanese cohorts can, that is. Just leave our nationality out of this, please. Mr. Naruhodo, if we can't substantiate our position, I'm afraid the jurors that changed their minds before may very well change them back. What can I do? Is there any more proof I can give here? Can I show that Mr. Shamspeare really did blow down the gas pipe on the night in question? I can prove it. I can't prove it. I can present evidence. I have supporting testimony.
Hmm. Do we have any evidence to show that he did that night?
I don't think we have any evidence here. I think we may have to go with testimony.
Whose?
I don't know. No, in truth, I don't have evidence to support my theory, however. There is witness testimony.
Mr. Garrett did.
Yeah, because he was talking about
Because
that.
the light flickered.
What's that, testimony? This is incredible. Whose testimony? Yes, it's all connected. Everything is linked. The person whose testimony revealed details about the gas and the gear of the Rusties that night.
It's Mr. Garrett himself, because he knows, that's how he knows when they come home. Because he thinks them starting it flickers the light.
Hmm.
Take that!
Well, Mr. Foreman, does that convince you? But the thing is, he never testified in this case.
Matsumi then?
Who did talk about it?
Matsumi?
Yeah, I guess so, because, I mean, she didn't, he did. I don't think he said a thing about it.
No.
I don't think he did. No. I don't think he talked.
Hold it! Hold it!
Right.
Take that!
Yay.
Yeah, obviously I'm talking about the defendant, Mr. Soseki Natsume himself. The defendant? At the very beginning of the proceedings here in court yesterday, Mr. Natsume said the following. My lodging, there's been a whole series of strange happenings in my lodgings. Even on that fateful night it happened. When I returned from Mr. Shanspeare's room, I lit my gas stove and climbed into bed, but before long, the stove went out, and somebody tried to kill me. Yep. On the night in question, the gas in the defendant's room went out. So I asked the court, was that a mere coincidence or not? Good golly. So that Shamspeare fellow blew air into the gas pipe to make the man's stove go out on purpose? Now hold your horses there. Why would he do that for? Mr. Foreman, what is it, man? We cannot allow judgment to be passed whilst this doubt remains. It's true that I don't have conclusive evidence yet, however, you must surely agree that there is more to this case than meets the eye.
I'll be right back.
Okay.
I think I will too. I just need to use the bathroom really fast. Okay, take like 2. Alright, I'm back, just waiting for the lady. Hey, kitty. Sorry about that, kitty. Okay. Oh. And you are back now.
I'm back.
Yeah. Alright, juror number 1. Fair enough. Like I said at the outset, I'm a man of logic first and foremost. Bless you. Bless you. Thus 4 jurors leaning toward not guilty, my lord. We've overturned the decision. Therefore, the defense calls for the trial to continue. As the defense has rightfully indicated, the summation examination has concluded with a majority of jurors altering their decisions. 2 jury members now call guilty, 4 now call not guilty. Therefore, the jury's opinion is conflicted, and in accordance with the law of this land, I hereby order the continuation of this trial. Mr. William Shamspeare, my lord, how can thy humble Shamspeare serve thee? What say you in response to the various revelations made during the summation examination? So God mend me, I do solemnly swear, I recall aught of either the lamp or the pipe. But your handprints have made a tidy mess all over the wall there. How do you explain that, eh? I am done with this. The dignity of this great courtroom has been sullied enough already. Juror number 5. Who, me? As I went to some pains to point out already, a print from the self-professed detective's toy has no place in a British court of law. As such, whether or not this man did indeed stand before the gas lamp with his hands against the wall remains at this time unestablished conjecture. You would all do well to remember that.
Objection!
But the prosecution must concede that it would be extremely simple to verify. Just order the mouth of the gas pipe feeding the lamp in Mr. Shamspeare's room to be examined. There are traces of poison there. What appears to be extremely simple is my Nipponese friend's mind.
You will recall that in order to check for the presence of poison in the tea, some remnants of the tea were required. Yes. Therefore, it shouldn't be beyond your wit to imagine that even if poison were to have been spread on the pipe, it would have completely evaporated by now, making any analysis impossible. I didn't think of that. In any case, Counsel, I fail to see what could possibly have motivated the man to do as you describe. Why on earth would this fellow have wanted to blow air into the gas pipe where he lived? There's only one possibility that I can think of, and that is to use the leaking gas to commit murder. Order, Counsel. Precisely whose life do you propose this man was plotting to end? The answer couldn't be simpler, and now we've unraveled the mystery this far. Mr. Chancellor wanted to end the life of Natsumi.
Take that!
If a gas lamp were to go out, it would be noticed immediately, of course. But a gas stove, on the other hand, could be silently extinguished by the killer without anyone noticing. I live around those parts myself, so I know what it's like. I can tell you, trying to sleep without the stove lit is pretty much suicide. You'd freeze to death in no time. Mr. Garadev, the landlord, has a large fireplace in his part of the residence on the top floor. In other words, it wasn't the landlord, but a fellow lodger whose life Mr. Shamsphere was trying to end. Outrageous. I'm talking, of course, about the defendant. Mr. Natsumi isn't the villain in this case. He's the victim this man was trying to murder. Good gracious.
Objection!
I knew it. The accused is actually the aggrieved. Interesting. However, the fundamental facts of the case remain unchanged, namely, that the accused is the aggressor here. What? How can you still claim that? Let your fancies for a moment and assume that there was indeed poison on the mouth of the gas pipe. The question that then arises is who put it there? Who did put it there? The only logical conclusion is that the person responsible was aware of this man's trickery with the gas supply and his intent to kill. Yes, that would indeed seem logical. If the assailant were unaware, how would he or she have known to lace the end of the gas pipe with poison? So now we must ask, how could anyone have known of Mr. Shamsphere's murderous designs? Ah, you mean to suggest? Naturally, this whole possible answer to that question could be more obvious. Only the man who's... Sorry about my stomach there. This is doing weird things.
Are you hungry?
No, I'm not. Only the man whose life was being threatened could possibly have known. What? In other words, the person who put the poison on the gas pipe in what was a clear retaliatory attack can only have been the accused, Mr. Soseki Natsumi.
I know someone else who could have done it. Well,
whatever Mr. William Shamsphere may or may not have contrived to do, he was nevertheless the victim of a potentially lethal poison attack. And the only person who could possibly have perpetrated that attack is the accused, Mr. Natsumi. The defense counsel's theorizing has failed to avert suspicion from the accused, far from it. In fact, now that a clear motive for the poisoning has been successfully established, that suspicion is greater than ever. Would you not agree, my Nipponese friend? Arg. How did he manage to turn that around on me so rapidly? Mr. Naruhodo, you must respond. Otherwise, the members of the jury may very well change their leanings against us again. And this may be our last chance to gain the advantage. What advantage? Well, it would seem that somebody put poison on the gas pipe in Mr. Shamsphere's room, so we must name that person now and absolve Mr. Natsumi of guilt. You mean name the true culprit? I know it might sound impossible, but if we fail to do that, I have no doubt that Mr. Natsumi's fate will be sealed once and for all. As it happens, one possible culprit does come to mind. The evidence, the poison, it's all pointing to a particular person now. The prosecution calls for the jury to consider their leanings again. I trust you'll make the correct choice this time, Mr. Foreman. Oh, what? Oh, don't you worry. We know exactly what... There's one other person who I believe could have been involved in all of this. The true culprit of this crime. The true culprit. A term found only in second-rate novels featuring third-rate detectives, my Nipponese friend. But why not? This farce has gone on for so long already, I see no reason to cut it short before its disappointing climax. Thank you. Tell us, my learned Nipponese friend, what is your latest theory? Who is the so-called true culprit of this crime?
Okay, so we need a sidebar. Do you know who it is?
I would have thought Shamspear. No?
Well, Olive Green was in the hospital, right?
Right.
So it can't be her, although we know that part of her envelope was found in the room.
Right.
Okay. Mr. Garadeb sure was sweating the other day when we were talking to him about the pipes and them being refixed. But he's on the next jury after this, right?
He is.
Okay. What about the gas lady or her meter man? Because they think he's stealing it and diverting it.
That'd be crazy.
How could she have got in there unless they... I don't know. Unforgiving of a gas thief.
Yeah, she is, so... Let's look at what this says. Well, it would seem that somebody put poison on the gas pipe in Mr. Shamspear's room, so we must name that person now and absolve Mr. Natsumi of guilt. I know it might sound impossible, but if we fail to do that, I have no doubt that Mr. Natsumi's fate will be sealed once and for all. The evidence of the poison is all pointing to a particular person now. The prosecution calls for the jury to consider their leanings. There's one other person who I believe could have been involved in all this, the true culprit of this crime. I mean, I don't know. Why would any of them be the true culprit when we're clearly trying to say Mr. Shamspear is a person who was an attempted murderer? I mean, I guess, like, he could technically come in and change the pipes around, but I don't see how he would be the true culprit, you know what I mean? He's 23? What? He does not look 23. Well, let's try her first. Uh-oh. You claim this person is the true culprit? Highly suspicious, I would say, yes.
You want to try Shamspear himself?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna. Because I feel like that's the true culprit, is he's the guy who's caused all this.
Take that!
Or not. Well, maybe it's this guy because he's the worker there.
Okay.
So he would come in. Perhaps, my Lord Nipponese friend, you should turn those wide eyes of suspicion on yourself. What? For it seems to me that your reckless reasoning makes you far more than anyone else you could name a very dangerous man indeed. Gah. Snubberholder, please, you must concentrate. I was trying to. Then you must concentrate harder. Harsh. Who was the so-called true culprit of this crime? Well, let's try this guy, who's... Oh dear. What do we do?
Green.
Let's do it. Because part of our envelope there. The name of the person responsible for the poison that afflicted Mr. Shamspear is, I believe, Miss Olive Green. Miss Olive Green? Miss Olive Green. mean, that would explain why that envelope
Yeah.
was there. I do feel as though I've heard that name in the recent past, Counsel, but I don't recall where. Miss Olive Green, the woman from 6 days ago. The victim in the recent case of stabbing on Briar Road. An incident for which Mr. Natsumi was arrested, I hasten to add. Oh, of course, yes, Miss Green. She was left comatose for some 3 days, I believe, but I hear she regained consciousness 2 days ago. And I hardly need remind the court that Mr. Shanspeare's poisoning took place 3 days ago. Given that the woman was lying comatose in a hospital bed at the time, she appears to have a rather fine alibi. True, on the night that the incident occurred, Miss Green was in hospital unconscious, so on the face of it, it would seem that she couldn't possibly be responsible. But still, my colleagues and I visited Miss Green in hospital yesterday, and we found her to be in possession of a bottle of poison. Good gracious, she had poison? And there's another fact that links Miss Green to this case as well. The defense requests that she be brought to the witness stand in order to explain the details to the court. Tell me, Mr. Shanspeare. My lord, pray, what be thy bidding? Are you acquainted with Miss Green? No, never heard of her. Judging by the look on Mr. Shanspeare's face, I think perhaps he generally doesn't know her, at least not by name. As the voice of Her Majesty's prosecution here, I adhere to my word. We will see my learned Nipponese friend's farce through to its conclusion. I appreciate that. The prosecution requests a short recess, my lord, in order to subpoena the witness and bring her here. Yes, Miss Olive Green. Indeed, my lord. 1 hour should be sufficient. Very well, I grant thy request. Excellent, I hope. The defense has made a most extraordinary accusation, I must say, but at the present time, I feel the prosecution's argument remains largely uncontested. Accordingly, I'm afraid the defendant and his culpability remain the sole subject of this court's attention. Thank you, counsel. As we reconvene in 1 hour, court is adjourned. Miss Olive Green, the true culprit. But not the true
I think she's the true culprit of who tried to poison
Yeah.
Shanspeare. But, like, I still maintain...
That Shanspeare did all this other stuff.
Yeah.
And so, for her...
It's revenge.
It's revenge.
And she was going to commit suicide due to it.
Joyful, jubilant jumping jacks. Oh, Mr. Natsumi, I'm so pleased for you. Locum student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire, and non-locum judicial assistant Miss Mikotoba Esquire S. Now, finally, at long last, there can be proof. Proof that I'm innocent, and proof that my tea is innocent. Ah, good morning, my dear fellows. Arg, Airlock Sholmes. May you drink my tepid tea and fall forever silent. I thought the tea was innocent. Oh, Mr. Sholmes, you came. How wonderful. Please, save your derision. I know what you're all thinking. Good morning, he says, when it's very nearly time for luncheon. Your scorn is written clearly across your faces. Nobody said or thought anything of the sort. The truth is, I was determined that today would be the day. As sleep seduced me last night, I thought, tomorrow for once I shall not oversleep. I'll rise early and be present in court to support my companions. Such spirited determination has a beauty all of its own, does it not? Oh, yes. And then I began to muse on the subject. Why do people oversleep, I queried. Why time after time do they make the same foolish blunder? And the answer came to me at once. It's so delightfully simple. People oversleep because they sleep. Well, is that not an astute insight into the matter? Oh, yes. Upon which realization I attempted an experiment. I didn't sleep a wink all night. And the results? By first light I was exhausted and began to be assailed by fits of drowsiness. Shocking. And so the conclusion of last night's experiment is this. A good night's sleep is quite simply essential. Yes, I think most of us probably knew that already. What others presuppose I proved my experimentation. That, my dear fellow, is the scientific method. Ah, yes, and one more thing. Do you remember this? Ah. Yes, of course, it's the poison that Miss Green was about to drink at the hospital yesterday. Oh, you didn't manage to... It was a laborious task, as the bottle was near empty, but such inconveniences do not hinder Sholmes. I managed to confirm that it contains strychnine. So I was right. Perhaps, though of course such circumstantial evidence doesn't prove Miss Green's guilt. I shall leave the bottle in your care now, but licking the inside of the neck is not recommended. Could I have a word? Gregson, how good of you to come. Forget it, excuse me. Wait a minute, Inspector. I, don't wish to make a nuisance of myself, but the look on your face, I'd say it's someone else who you think is making a nuisance of himself. My dear Inspector, please speak freely, pretend that I'm not here. Believe me, if I could do that, life would be a whole lot simpler for me. Do you have the results, Inspector, of the investigation of Mr. Shamspeare's room? Not yet. Shouldn't be long now, though. No, I'm here about something else. That dead convict, actually. Oh, you mean the man from this newspaper article we discovered yesterday in Mr. Shamspeare's room. A man by the name of, yes, Selden. I went through the archives of the yard and dug out the fellow's file. There's something in there that, well, it caught my eye. Something caught your eye? What, Inspector, what? I've copied out the relevant parts for you, so you can read it for yourselves. Thank you. These documents include the details that were in the newspaper cutting we found in Mr. Shamspeare's room. I'll rearrange everything in the court record so we don't have duplicate information. Or you give us a copy of this important file, though. 18 counts of burglary, 6 counts of suspected murder, died of natural causes whilst in prison, his final moments witnessed only by his cellmate, the estimated £1,000 worth of loot he stole remain uncovered. And that goes with... Well, you're the ones who turned up the clue in the first place, aren't you? I'm just making sure things get handled in the proper fashion. Oh, Scotland Yard's workings are so wonderful. Indeed, my dear fellows, and the Inspector here is a shining diamond in its crown. Shining diamond in the rough, maybe? Look, I just don't want to be beholden to a lawyer, that's all. Counsel for the defense and the defendant. Court proceedings are about to resume. Make your way into the courtroom at once. Well, I shall leave you then. I'll be listening with interest from the public gallery, not nodding off at all. Certainly not. Thank you, Mr. Sholmes. I'm rather tired of seeing Mr. Mustache in floods of tears personally, so best of luck to you. Welcome, student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. Yes, Mr. Natsumi. It's time, isn't it? Yes, this is it. Miss Olive Green and Mr. William Shakespeare. This is going to be the final battle. I won't really have saved Soseki-san until I've exposed the whole truth of everything that's been going on. But it's all coming to a head now. You can do it, Rinosuke. You have to. Give me one more sec, hon. I'll be right back.
So your two kitties are here with us, and my two kitties are both in the bedroom. Well, Maestro's been on the bed for a while, but Iris has been, Iris is just on the ground, sitting around. Okay, ready? Mm-hmm. Let's do this. I hereby declare court to be in session. Before the recess, we heard a most startling accusation from the defense, namely that the victim of the case we heard here only a few days ago was the true perpetrator of this incident. A reckless, rash, and prejudiced charge of wrongdoing in my opinion, my lord. However, the prosecution has tried to extend every courtesy to this amateur newcomer from dubious eastern shores. Thank you for that backhanded consideration. A rather cold assessment from the honorable British prosecutor, I must say. So Lord Von Zieks is the new witness present and ready to take the stand. Ready and waiting in the witness's antechamber, my lord. Very well, bailiff, bring the witnesses in. Witnesses, state your names and occupations for the court, please. William Shamspeare, my liege. For mine occupation, I can say only that I be a tragic victim to be pitied. Currently unemployed, in other words. I'm Olive Green. I'm a fledgling artist. Well, no. Not a fledgling, really. A hopeless failure who's too weak-spirited to admit she has no talent, I suppose. And currently unemployed, in other words. What a... Huh. I don't know. What a... I don't know how to pronounce that. Mr. Shamspeare. My lord, I am thy humble servant. I'm afraid that you are no longer merely the victim in this affair. The possibility has been raised that you are in fact the assailant intent of taking the life of your fellow lodger. The part you have played in this whole business will be thoroughly scrutinized, I assure you. I would for naught else, my lord. And Miss Green? Yes? You are aware of the reason you have been summoned to this courtroom today, I presume? Why is your kitty sneezing?
I don't know.
Yes, the officer did explain. He said, I poisoned this ridiculous buffoon. And, do you accept the charge, Miss Green? I don't know anything about any poisoning. And, I don't know anything about this man. Come, lady. Die to live. Verily, I know not thy prickly, pea-pigmented personage.
We saw them talking in the hospital together, too.
Yes, we did. I don't think you would say I wish you died of poisoning if you didn't know about him or poisoning. Very well, let us proceed with the matter at hand, that being to ascertain whether or not Miss Green has any involvement in this affair. It's all very strange indeed. Why would you suspect me? I barely ever go to the East End anyway. It so happens that I passed by that neighborhood 6 days ago, that's all. And on the night that this poor man was poisoned, or this man was poisoned, I was still in the hospital fighting for my life. Yes, having been unfortunately caught up in the incident on the street outside the Garrett household. An incident that rendered you unconscious for some 3 days. I was struck in the middle of my back by a knife through no fault of my own, and now I am under suspicion? What other irrelevant things might I be suspected of? It's all very disturbing. Your energies may be better spent worrying about random knife attacks, I feel, Miss Green. At this point in time, all that appears to connect you with Mr. Shamspeare's lodgings is the Briar Road incident of 6 days ago. That's why we would like you to testify formally now about exactly what happened. Oh no. The incident 6 days ago? You mean you want me to relive that awful accident? Unfortunately, yes. Please tell the court what happened that day. And of course, we will be interested to hear from you about your movements that day too, Mr. Shamspeare. Yeah? But what happened 6 days ago has nothing to do with me being poisoned. Let us proceed then. The witnesses will present their formal testimony to the court.
on the subject of the incident that took place on Briar Road the evening of the 17th of February. It was 6 days ago at about 5 p.m. I was walking along in the snow and I was suddenly stabbed in the back. Coincidentally, it happened to be just outside the house where the men in this case have their lodgings. I was at the tavern on the eve of which thou speakest, for I had bespoke my supper. It was the first time I'd been in the area. I had a little matter to attend to, that's all. Anyway, I was admitted straight to the hospital, so I knew nothing about all of this business. Yes, a second incident inside a week at what I believe to be aptly described as the haunted lodgings. One can only presume this is a most unfortunate coincidence. Meanwhile, you say you were not in your room, Mr. Shamspear. 'Twas the following morn, when I did awaken, that I learned of the dire events. Mary, what a commodity did the officers of the law make on the floor above me.
Commotion.
Commotion? Did I say commodity? Whoops. When Soseki-san was arrested on suspicion of attempted murder. As suspected, there is nothing connecting these two witnesses but happenstance. It's true, it does seem as though they're unrelated at first glance, but I'm not so sure. There's something lurking in the shadows here, I feel certain of it, and this is my one and only chance to expose it. Counsel, you may now cross-examine these two witnesses if you wish. Yes, my lord. 6 days ago, about 5 p.m., while on a stone, I was suddenly stabbed in the back.
Well, we know that that's a lie, but maybe you should question on the first thing just to be sure.
Yeah, let's do that.
Hold it! Hold it!
I'm well acquainted with the case. I'm sorry you had to go through that. It was awful. I still can't believe I was unconscious for so long. And I woke up to find that the case had been solved and the culprit arrested. Yes, that incident had been resolved already. Perhaps it would help you to consider a bad dream that ended with your awakening and should now be forgotten. Yes, I suppose so. Thank you. Before you put it completely behind you, Miss Green, I need you to remember the details one last time. You must tell the court exactly what happened that day for us to arrive at the truth about this new case. The trouble is, there's nothing to tell, really. I was just walking along the pavement. On this? What were you doing there that day, though? What do you mean? The art school you attend, what's it called? Ah, yes, it's the Thorndike Academy of Fine Arts. According to Mr. Sholmes, that's just in the vicinity of Brixton Road, which is some 10 slops underground from the scene on the Underground. What? Whoops, I think I butchered that.
Are you okay?
Which is some 10 stops away from the scene on the Underground. My eyes got watery. Some of the words blended together. I believe you mentioned before that you also live on Brixton Road, isn't that right? So why then would you have been walking around Briar Road in the middle of the East End? Well, it's because, oh yes, of course. I thought it might make a nice picture. The witness is a student of art. City dwelling artists can't all paint grand urban vistas. That's right, I happen to like the crumbling look of that part of town. Perhaps quaint would have been a less grating term. The point is, she's definitely hiding something. Yes, it seems she's not going to be forthcoming with the truth. She's trying to hide why she was there that evening. It must mean there's a reason for her not wanting us to know. That's the key to this. And you, Mr. Shamspear, on the evening of the incident 6 days ago, would you tell the court exactly what you were doing? Trust would be my pleasure, sir. A tavern, you say? Which one? 'Twas the Slug and Salad, which I did tarry. 'Tis a jewel in the East End. And a little unexpected, I feel. What do you mean, Lord Von Zeeks? The Slug and Salad offers unusually fine dining for the locality, at least. Not an establishment you'd expect to be patronized by a man with not even a crumb of bread in his room. It's true the menu lists premium crusts of bread and glasses of water in different levels of cloudiness. I would have expected grubbery in the local vicinity to be more appropriate for your means. Watery soup and mushy peas, or rather, soupy water and pea-like mush. All equally appetizing. I just wanted to try some water in a different pub for once. What's wrong with that? How different can water really be? Or perhaps it's a more plausible explanation. A specific reason why he had to go to that particular establishment. Agreed. The fact that on the day of all days he dined at a place he wouldn't normally, it does stand out. So Mr. Shakespeare's own actions on the day of the incident were slightly suspicious. But if we have to have some evidence that can explain those actions, we don't have any right now. Do you want to call it quits for tonight? No?
Not yet.
Not yet? Okay, so you're good? Okay. I wish we did, but sadly I can't think of anything at the moment. If we find a clue that could explain why Mr. Shakespeare went there, we must present it to the court. Yes, absolutely. If that is all on this matter, counsel, I would ask Ms. Greed to reiterate her next statement.
Hold it!
What was the matter? What little matter, Miss Green? Please elaborate. It was nothing, really. It's not worth mentioning. If you remember, you mentioned it to us yesterday at the hospital. It was related to the card you were holding. Miss Green. What was that? She clearly just hit something behind her back. From memory, I believe the card contained a note that read, "I have information regarding the death of Duncan Ross." What does that matter? It has nothing to do with Duncan. Uh-oh.
Excuse me!
Mr. Shakespeare, do you have anything to share with the court? To be or not to be? That is the question. Ah, pray forgive me. The great bard's words springeth from me, while never a thought. Don't tell me, it's because you're possessed by Shakespeare's spirit, right? Hearing Miss Green's words a moment ago seemed to make you think of something. Something of relevance, perhaps? Oh, well, nay, sire, 'twas nothing at all. Presumably you know the name, though. Mr. Duncan Ross, I believe. After all, you were both lodgers in the same house. I would it were so, but sadly nay. Lodging be a lonely occupation, sire, and my lodging fellows be rarely known to me. So you haven't heard of him, even though he passed away in the room just one floor above yours? Miss Green. Me, my lord, have I done something wrong? The card that you mentioned before contained the note. Do you have it upon your person? I do, yes, but I don't need it anymore. In fact, I should throw it away, really. Before we dispose of it, the court will take it as evidence, please.
Should we examine it?
Yeah.
We can't do anything.
That's definitely it. The envelope has been ripped open rather carelessly, hasn't it? Miss Green strikes me as the type to open correspondence more neatly than that. Ah, what is it? The way the envelope is torn, I'm almost sure I've seen the exact same shape somewhere before. Oh, you don't mean... Were you thinking of this piece of evidence, Mr. Naruhodo? Exactly, that's it. Try to match them up. They go together perfectly. This torn-off end of the envelope clearly belongs with this card. But I think we just did good stuff. It's Duncan Ross. Now continue with your testimony, please, Miss Green. You know, I was admitted straight to the hospital, so I knew nothing about all this business. Almost an hour later, you pursued Mr. Chancellor wonderfully there. It's worked out well, has it? We have a new clue at last. Alright, now I need to pull off a really insightful objection somewhere. I'm a little tired myself.
Okay.
But I think we did well.
Okay.
We're gonna figure this case out next time we play. Till then, thank you for watching. Awesome stuff.